every promise eventually shows up somewhere, on the shop floor, in the warehouse, in the install bay, certainly in the customer experience. I've been with the company for more than 30 years. I started my journey out on the shop floor and worked my way through the organization, having the opportunity to learn about the business from many different angles, and just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You've been at Adrian for more than 30 years. What did it feel like when the handoff from Don DeLong became official?
First of all, grateful for Don for his 30 years of service, including 5 in this role, in this critical role of CEO. We wouldn't be here today without his steady leadership. Very convinced of that. The transition feels humbling, I will say, because of Adrian's legacy, and also energizing for the opportunity ahead. I'm grateful that it was so thoughtful and deliberate. We built it together over the last few years. That's been a lot of fun. I've had the wonderful opportunity to work my way through the organization, like I said, to learn about the business from multiple different angles. Started on shop floor, went through operations leadership, into the COO role, and I understand how much work goes into the business, pulling the business off, and the impact it has on our people. It's been a great handoff so far. Adrian's entering into the next chapter in a very strong position of strength. I take this responsibility seriously, and I'm excited to lead Adrian forward in a way that honors what's made this company so successful, while preparing for what comes next.
And I know Don led the company through a major chapter and transition, including rebranding to Adrian just last year. What's something you learned from him that you're going to carry forward? And where do you see your leadership style maybe being a little different?
Don really reinforced the importance of long-term thinking, strong customer relationships, and very disciplined growth. Working closely with him over the last 3 years gave me the firsthand view of how to lead through that growth and transformation without losing stability. As for my leadership style, I'm more hands-on around execution, communication, and those feedback loops on the business. That's probably related back to my operations experience. My background naturally makes me very focused on strategy, how strategy turns data into day-to-day execution. And I want to make decisions that are practical, scalable, and clearly felt by customers and our people.
You noted you've spent, most of your career on the operations side. How does that shape the way you think about being CEO compared to someone maybe coming in from outside of the company?
Well, I started out on the shop floor, so I've seen firsthand how company decisions affect our people, the people that build, install, and generally support our products. I value practicality over theory and scalable solutions that don't add friction. So I think in terms of workflow, coordination, accountability, and consistency, not just vision in the abstract. I've lived it. I understand how hard it is when processes break down or expectations are unclear. So my operations experience has taught me that every promise eventually shows up somewhere, on the shop floor, in the warehouse, in the install bay, certainly in the customer experience. And having this perspective in this CEO role helps me make decisions that are grounded, executable, and durable.
So when you think about the next 5 years, how would you describe your priorities in a way that matters to a fleet manager who's just trying to keep trucks and vans on the road?
The priorities are all about making Adrian easier to do business with, and a more valuable long-term partner. If you look at the priorities from the perspective of a fleet manager, scaling organizational capacity would equal more reliable delivery and ability to grow. Company modernization would equal faster decisions, better visibility, fewer inefficiencies. Owning the customer experience would be clearer communication, better support, faster resolution of problems. And completing the light duty platform would be equal to broader solutions for evolving fleet needs, and be the workflow solution partner would equal helping customers work smarter, not just equipping vehicles. For the fleet manager, our strategy should show up as fewer surprises, more confidence in a partner that helps keep their technicians working.
You've said you really want to elevate the customer experience. And I think, that can mean a lot of different things. In practical terms, what should fleets actually notice improving?
Should notice clearer communication. These are things we've focused on in the past, but we'll, again, take it up the next level. So clear communication, fewer handoffs, faster issue resolution, greater consistency from order, install, and service. Customer experience is not just being friendly. It's about making Adrian easier and more reliable at every stage of the business. We'll be adding capabilities, tools, and channels that improve responsiveness and visibility. Our job is to make the process seamless. And the goal is to create that gold standard experience in the industry, not simply keeping pace with expectations. We want customers to feel that Adrian is proactive, transparent, and accountable, especially when the stakes are high.
Especially then. So, from your time in operations, where do you really see things typically breaking down between the manufacturer and the fleet operators? And what are you personally focused on tightening up there?
Friction points occur with misaligned expectations around timing and scope, and gaps between sales promises and operational reality. So breakdowns often happen at the handoff points, when information moves between teams or when complexity increases with scale. So my focus is on coordination and accountability across the value chain. Better systems and integrated data will help reduce ambiguity and improve decision making. My goal is to tighten the connection between what we promise, what we build, and what the customer actually experiences.
We know trust is everything in this industry, especially. And when something goes wrong, and we know it can and does, whether it's our responsibility or outside forces, what's your philosophy on how a company should respond?
Own it. Own the issue quickly and transparently, right? Fix the root cause and treat mistakes as a chance to strengthen the relationship. In a fleet environment, customers care about how a partner responds under pressure, as well as how they communicate. So you don't hide from problems. You don't make the customer chase answers. Trust is built when customers know you'll tell them the truth. Take responsibility and follow through. Our standard should not only be to fix the issue in front of us, but to learn from it so it doesn't happen again.
Adrian announced you guys are making the largest investment in your history with the latest expansion. Beyond capacity, what problems are you really trying to solve for customers?
The investment is about more than square footage. It's about removing bottlenecks those bottlenecks that slow customers down and improving reliability at scale. Our production facility is growing from 135,000 to 245,000 square feet. Our warehousing is growing from 39,000 to 87,000 square feet. Our Kansas City installation facility is growing from 30,000 to 60,000 square feet, plus 30 acres of on-site parking. So the results of all this are greater capacity, smoother flow, more storage, and stronger consistency. We are building for the realities that fleets face, not simply for internal growth targets. It's about creating the operational backbone to support long-term growth.
A real question I think that it would be on a lot of fleet managers' minds, as you scale production and installation, how are you protecting consistency? Fleets don't want variation across 50 or 500 units. So how are you working to ensure that they're getting that consistent product every time?
This is where we excel. Standardized processes, disciplined execution and training, quality checks that travel with growth. Adding the consistency is especially important in fleet because variation creates downstream problems across dozens or hundreds of units. New technology and automation are enablers of standardization, not replacements for accountability. And as we grow, the customer should experience Adrian the same way every time. Same quality, same reliability, same responsiveness. Consistency is not just an internal efficiency metric, it's a customer promise. Growth only matters if we scale without introducing friction, right?
And when we look at, the question of speed versus predictability, what really matters more to you, and how are you thinking about lead times under your leadership?
Predictability is the foundation for speed, and customers value those lead times that they can plan around. Fast only matters if it's dependable, right? So inconsistency is more disruptive than a slightly longer but reliable timeline. So our warehouse expansion and capacity investments allow us to protect Adrian's industry best 5-day manufacturing lead time, even as volume rises. Our customers run complex operations. They can plan around clear lead time. They can't plan around surprises. So of course, speed matters, but speed without consistency creates risk.
And, what metrics are you personally watching that are telling you whether customers are actually having a better experience, not just whether production numbers are looking good?
Fewer escalations, less rework, repeat business is a big one. The long-term partnerships, again, sometimes they're a little bit harder to measure, but definitely an important KPI. So long-term partnerships and direct customer feedback. Definitely not just the internal KPIs that you would usually think about. We want metrics that reflect the lived customer experience, not only the product output.
Where do you really think the work truck and fleet space is heading over the next 5 years that people might be underestimating?
What may be underestimated is how much value will shift towards partners who can reduce complexity and help mobile professionals work more efficiently. Speed to market, portfolio completeness, and quality discipline will matter even more as customer expectations evolve.
If someone in the industry doesn't know you yet, I mean, you've been around for 30 years, but you're new to this role, what do you want them to understand about how you lead?
I'd say results matter, but how you get there matters too. Clarity, accountability, follow through, and listening closely to customers and teams is critical. Having come up through the business, I feel puts me in a position to understand that connectivity. And I want people to know that I'm practical, direct, and committed to solve real problems. I believe leadership starts with listening, but it also requires decisiveness and follow through. I do care deeply about building a company where high performance and strong culture go hand in hand, because that drives a great experience for our customers.
And finally, what's a promise you'd be comfortable making to fleet customers about this next chapter for Adrian?
So Adrian will be dependable, transparent, and responsive, with investments made around real fleet needs and a focus on long-term partnership over short-term wins. Our promise is that as Adrian grows, we will become an even better partner, easier to do business with, more predictable, and more committed than ever to helping our customers succeed.
Marc, I cannot tell you thank you more for your time today and for sitting down and chatting with us. I really do appreciate it, and I am so excited to see your next few years and your future continuing over at Adrian.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you for having me.